Imagine ordering a meal at 35,000 feet, taking the first bite, and feeling disappointed for no clear reason. The food isn't rotten, it's not expired, but somehow it tastes flat, bland, and slightly sad. So why does airplane food almost always taste worse than the same meal on the ground? The short answer is, your senses are being quietly sabotaged by the cabin environment. At cruising altitude, airplane cabins are pressurized to feel like you're about 6,000 to 8,000 feet above sea level. That lower pressure and drier air mess with your nose more than your tongue. And flavor is mostly smell, not taste. About 70% of what you perceive as flavor comes from your sense of smell. When that weakens, food instantly becomes boring. The air inside a plane is extremely dry, often less humid than a desert. This dries out your nasal passages, which makes it harder for aroma molecules to reach the receptors that detect flavor. Your taste buds are still working, but they're basically missing half the information. There's also the constant background noise. The low roar of engines isn't just annoying, it actually affects taste perception. Studies suggest loud noise reduces sensitivity to sweet and salty flavors, while making bitter tastes stronger. So your meal doesn't just taste bland, it tastes unbalanced. Then there's oxygen. Even though you're breathing fine, the slightly reduced oxygen level affects how your brain processes sensory input. Your perception dulls. Subtle flavors disappear first. That's why foods that rely on delicate aromas, like fresh herbs or mild sauces, suffer the most in the air. Airlines know this, which is why airplane food is often heavily seasoned. More salt, more sugar, stronger sauces. Tomato juice is a famous example. On the ground, many people find it overwhelming. In the air, it suddenly tastes great because acidity and umami cut through sensory dulling better than sweetness. There's also the psychological factor. You're sitting upright, cramped, distracted, and maybe stressed. Your brain isn't in enjoy a meal mode. It's in endure the situation mode. That alone can reduce how much pleasure you get from eating. Here's a strange detail. The food itself usually isn't cooked on the plane. It's prepared on the ground, chilled, stored, then reheated in the air. That process dulls texture and aroma, especially for things like bread, vegetables, and meat. Even a perfect recipe loses something when it goes through that cycle. The twist is this. Airplane food isn't actually worse by design. In many cases, the same dish tastes perfectly fine on the ground. It's your senses that are temporarily downgraded. The cabin turns your mouth into a low-resolution version of itself. So why does food taste worse on airplanes? Because dry air dulls your nose, noise confuses your brain, pressure reduces sensitivity, and reheating kills subtle flavors. The food didn't change. You did. The takeaway is simple. At 35,000 feet, your taste buds are working overtime in a hostile environment. If anything, it's impressive that airplane food tastes like food at all.